Hey there everyone, Jason here. I've got a little bitty boat, 12-foot bass tracker with an 8 horsepower Mercury that I just bought. And I was running a 3 horsepower Johnson on it, a 2-cycle here. I ran that on there from 1993 to 2022 here. And I started having carburetor problems with the little motor and thought I wanted to get something bigger for the last 20 years anyway. So I bought an 8 horsepower Mercury, which those of you who know, the 8 and the 9 are the same. It's a different carburetor between the two, but I don't really need the 9.9, and it was extra money that I don't want to spend. So I kind of like the thought of it running lower RPMs. So I've been out twice in the boat, and motor runs great. That's not an issue. The issue is that I can't set the trim to where the front end of the boat doesn't come way up in the air. And I mean, it's way up in the air. The back ridges here, when I run at full throttle, the water is like here because it is at such a tilt. So what I'm gonna do is put on a hydrofoil on the cavitation plate there. Looked at all the different videos online, which there's some good ones out there. So if you run across them, you know what I'm talking about, and you can see the before and after performance for little 12-foot V-bottoms and stuff like that. But anyway, I ended up deciding that I wanted to use this SE Sport 200. It is significantly bigger than like the Atwood ones that are going to, one piece on each side of the outboard. And then I went ahead and spent the extra money for the clip because I do not want to drill through my cavitation plate. And the hole spacing, if you watch some of the videos, those, when you drill the holes, they're pretty far out on that cavitation plate, and I just can't imagine that that's a really great idea. So I'm going to try to see if I can get this clip to work on my motor. I haven't seen anybody do it on one of these little bitty guys, the 8, 9 horse and under. So that's what this video is focused on. I had started, getting all the parts out. You can watch other videos and all the details on it. But the first thing I'm gonna have to do is take my prop off, because to get this bottom portion of the clip on, you gotta take the prop off and then slide it from the bottom up on the motor. So I'm gonna get started with that. And what that's gonna involve is, I didn't really want to have to do any of this, to be honest with you. But first thing, taking your prop off, I'm gonna see if I can figure out how to pause the video instead of stopping it. But you have to take the cotter pin out, which I already did. Took the cotter pin out. Now I'm gonna have to remove this bolt, and then I'll figure out what else is holding this on, and then go from there. Stay tuned. All right, so we're here on the motor. I took the prop off, which, if you're doing this and you're scared to take the prop off, that's not a big deal. There's a cotter pin that goes through the shaft here, and a castle nut and a washer. So obviously the cotter pin's through there and the washer. Take the cotter pin out, focus, and then the castle nut is not on there very tight at all. It seats the prop on there, and then the cotter pin keeps it from backing off. So that's nothing to be afraid of. But I'm already found my first problem of trying to fit this thing on there, this clip. So you gotta fish this thing around. Obviously this back bar, that's supposed to be grabbing like this onto the motor and holding it. I thought anyway, I kind of like that design. Well, this freaking thing doesn't fit, so you can get it shoved up on here. Oh, by the way, I had to take out this bolt that was in here so I could get this thing to fit. Try to show you what it's doing here. Okay, that's up there. Well, there ain't no way in hell you're gonna get this around all this. So then I took it off to see what's going on, and I don't know if I can do this one here, there or not. We'll try it. This thing fits in there like snug as a bug. This hole from this end to this end on the plate is 5 5/8. The width of that from here to here is 6 inches. So what do you think we should do? I'm thinking these 2 holes down here, they don't mean a whole lot. I could make new holes further out, and this will mount on there. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm going to cut this out. I'd rather cut a $50 kit or $60. I'd rather cut this thing out, and I can just drill 2 new holes back here, and I don't think anybody's going to know the difference. I think that's my only choice, because I'm not drilling holes in that cavitation plate. What do you think? Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get out the Dremel tool, and I'm going to cut this hole big enough so I can get that up in there. And then you only use one of these holes anyway, right? And that's just got to line up for that metal clip thing that hangs out the back, which does hook on to the anode, whatever that thing is, that guy. There's a bolt right here that tab is going to hook onto, and then that's going to go into the plastic to hold that on the boat. So I'll still have my front lip that is, holding my hydrofoil on, and then that back bolt will hook that bottom plate to the motor through that metal strap. That's what I'm doing. I'm gonna tear this thing up instead of something else. All right, I'll be back. All right, so hang on. I can't do that original thought of cutting out this end down here, because I put this thing together now, and you can see I'd be cutting out down in here where those 2 little holes are at. Well, the top plate, I'd have to cut the whole top plate too. And that thing is a whole nother animal with, I'll show it in a second, I'll flip it over. I think I'm just gonna cut this out. Trust that the clamping power of this thing is gonna hold it on there. Otherwise it's gonna be a $130 fishing day. And yeah, I think I'm just gonna take that out. That clip that comes on up here, I'll have that one bolt that's got this rinky-dink piece of metal that I guess I'm gonna go on faith that thing is not gonna just shear off somewhere along the line. If I do that, I got bigger problems probably. So I'm taking this back off so I can show you. I don't think I want to be dremeling out and taking out all this gusset material just so I can fit this on. So going back to the drawing board here, I don't think you got to take the prop off. You are gonna, if you got the Mercury 8 or 9.9 or bigger, I'm assuming that shaft is bigger on other ones. I'm just gonna cut this off here, and then this whole thing will slide on there without me even having to have taken the prop off. All right, we'll try that. Okay, we're back on. So I've got this plate. I cut that out with the Dremel tool, and I got a confession here. You guys are gonna learn by my mistakes. So I've been thinking that this whole plate is gonna go way up front like this. That's why I had to cut that out. This whole thing is gonna be back here. Okay? Now, with my normal mode of operation, cut first, ask questions later. I'm not terribly upset with myself about cutting that out, because if I had not cut it out, this can only sit about right here. And you see these back holes? Those are the clamping holes. They're barely on the cavitation plate. So what I'm thinking here is, now I will be able to mount this further forward, get more clamping on the cavitation plate, and not be too unhappy about that. And I couldn't have moved it forward like that if I hadn't cut that material out in between there, like that. So Yeah, it is what it is. I probably should have watched the other video a little longer. But the other thing is these adjuster clamps that are going to come in on the sides of the cavitation plate. There's a little note on there saying that if it's a 4-inch wide cavitation plate, remove the black grommets from the bolts. That is these little guys, and they were on the screw here, so I've already taken those off, those 4. I had those all the way off, I think, on previously till now, because they kind of like to fall out when you're trying to work with this thing. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and work on getting this assembled to it. I'm going to start with the metal plate that I was showing you earlier that is underneath here. Right. It's going to hook on here where this anti-corrosion anode thing, I've already loosened the bolt. That metal plate will come out. That's what's going to hook into one of these 2 holes that I showed you earlier, and we'll go from there and see what we can do. There's a gentleman who has a video putting these on from Boat Sport Performance. It's an excellent video, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time showing you how to put the thing together because he's obviously done a lot of them. So we'll go ahead and get started here on the next step, and I'll put that prop on later. I'm going to leave it off for now just so I got extra room in there. All right. Okay, noteworthy. When you take this off and then you have to put this metal plate on here, I'm giving like 0 stars for the amount of fun this is. So you gotta, you have to kind of pre-shape this metal thing, the tab. I'm sorry, I know my camera work is not ace work here. But this metal tab, you know, so I've already obviously tightened it down in there so that it shaped it. But you have to pre-shape it a little bit on these little motors because this bolt doesn't stick out far enough to actually get this up into the hole. So I took pliers, kind of shaped it around the point there that is on the this piece, and then had to bend down the front a little bit, and then I was finally able to get 1 thread started with my fingers, and then got the ratchet on there, and then was able to smash it down. But if you prepared it, that's about a half beer job right there, just getting that thing onto there. All right, more to come. All right, so now I've got the bottom plate on there. I did, got the bolt up underneath here. This piece is formed now. Everything is straight. Then I went ahead and tightened the screws here to bring these clips so that they come up over the cavitation plate and hold here. The other videos say just bring them up snug and tight, and I've done that several times. I did take a caliper between the edge of the cavitation plate and the hole to get it the same on both sides, so that's all perfectly placed. Now I've got the top side of it, and I don't want to turn this too far because the bolts will fall out, but this yeah, those will fall out. I've got the sticky pads on there, and for this application, with me being a little bit nervous about this thing, I don't want it to fall off. So I'm picking the inside holes here, the big boys, the big motors. I see I'm putting them out here. I think I want it inward so that I get a quicker clamping between the 2 bolts. And then one other thing to note is that, and the gentleman calls this out clearly in the other video, but these are different length front, the back ones here to the front ones. And then these are also different length from one side to the other side, so that when you go to clamp it down, you can get your hardware started. So I think I'm ready to pull the sticky off of the blue tape that's covering up the sticky pad that holds this whole thing together and kind of provides some isolation in between, I guess. And yeah, I'm thinking I'm ready to go, so I'll catch you here after I get it put together. All right, we're back. presto changeo, everything's done. That wasn't intentional. I thought I was taking videos and I was just taking photos. So, but you didn't miss a whole lot. I think the last time I was getting ready to attach the top portion of the clamp here, that went really smooth. It's not difficult. You just tighten them down snug, and hardware here, and then on both sides. Got that all on there, and then this was really simple. You just put the 4 bolts in there and goes on. So proportion-wise, I really like the way it looks. It certainly looks substantial on the back end. There is, maybe 10 inches there between the back of the prop fins and the back of the hydrofoil, which I think is going to be a really good thing for leveling this out. And it just looks good on there. So the moral of the story is you can use the clip on the small motors, so you don't have to drill through the cavitation plate. My modification that I made on the bottom, I am not regretting that at all, actually. If I hadn't done that, the hydrofoil, as you can see, I've got it fit in here pretty good. If I didn't do that modification, that would have made everything sit back about 3/4 of an inch. So basically, from you can kind of see the groove there where it stops and the decal. It would have moved the whole thing back a little bit further. And I really didn't feel comfortable with the amount of clamping I was going to be able to get on the back of that, those back bolts, how far towards the back was. But you could probably get away with it. That tape that is on there that secures the clamp, that stuff is amazing. So I don't, that alone is probably providing a lot of friction and holding it on there. Then you've got the little red clamps that come in, and then the bolts that secure the whole thing together. So I doubt if these things are just flying off unless you're hitting something with it. But I think it's gonna work out pretty good. Next will be, I'll have to get it out and try it and report back on that to see how well it works. I'm hoping that I can even do some adjustment on my trim. I've had to run it in one to even get it to where it didn't look unsafe out on the water. So I'm hoping I might even be able to bump it up to a 2 or a 3, and then we'll also see how that all changes with 2 people in the boat. So I'm pretty excited about it. It's cold today, so I'm not going out today, but maybe a week or so here we get a little better weather, then I can get it out, try it, see how it works. So I hope the video helped someone out there. You can put the sport clip non-drill option on these small motors. Don't make all the mistakes that I made originally thinking where the placement was. But it does work. Didn't have to drill holes, and that part makes me happy because I really didn't want to do that. All right, thank you everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.